Welcome to the Diplomats, brought to you by diplomacybriefing.com. A special episode here today with Dave Roberts.
How's it going, Ed?
It's good. Maybe the most diplomatic person ever. Nice guy all around, exploded on the diplomacy scene in face-to-face or virtual face-to-face, and now entered Nexus. I assume it's your first Nexus tournament, and made it all the way to the finals and was the number one seed.
That's what happened.
So, you rocketed, and we're here to talk about your season 6 main event. And you should look, this is your time to talk back. We had about 30 hours of the most analyzed game in history going against you guys. So you can say what you want to say. But I'm going to drive the discussion, at least in the beginning, which is you earned first place. I strongly believe you should have kept it and not selected Germany. Tell me why you moved down, the thought process right off the bat.
So I basically felt going in that I wanted to be England, France, or Germany was going to be fine with me. I felt like that would be okay with any one of those three. So obviously picking third was going to be okay. This isn't probably a great reason for the Nexus everything, but I had played in the VDL top board and I was France. I know that I could have just been great. I did okay.
You're still ahead of me. Everything you're saying means I did worse. So okay, but wishy-washy it with okay.
No, but that's not. I think the whole point of when I say that type of stuff, like that I don't think I'm that good or something. It's I get it. I know how to move little things around. I got some ideas on strategy, but I don't win. Like I don't win unless somebody else hands it to me. And you can go look. You go look at games where I have actually won, and it is because my ally has been like, you know what, and maybe okay, I'll take credit. You know what? You're a good dude. You've been good to me this whole time. I'll let you have it. But there has never been some big like, hey, let's put this thing together. And I don't win. I play well enough to say, I think, do well and put decent scores together throughout. But I still got a long ways to go before I just flat out win one on my own. And
don't listen to him. Dave does not rely on pity. All right, this is ridiculous. What I mean, already.
Go look it up. Go look at any game that I have been the top board, and you will see that they just handed that to him. I get it. That's part of the game. I still know that I got to get a lot better to go out and win one on my own. That's what I'm trying to do now. This one, I was okay.
Tell me, with your any experience face-to-face, virtual face-to-face or press with Riaz, and I know Philip hasn't played virtually, so any press experience with him?
I never played a single game with Riaz. I knew about him. He's got a good reputation. I knew he was good, that type of thing, but never ever been on a board with them. I was on a board with Philip in one of the semifinals leading up to the finals, so that was my experience with him.
I love playing Germany. I've had pretty fair results playing Germany. And of course, Doug Moore says the way you play Germany is to try and induce England and France to fight. And tell me what your opening strategy was with respect to Germany. It turned out to go poorly against you from the start.
Yeah, my strategy, I guess I wanted England and France to fight, but I wanted France to be on my side in that fight. That was my goal at the beginning. I have played, that's what I wanted. That's what I thought I had going into the first move. And obviously I learned that I didn't have that. And I've struggled a little bit. I know that you're going to now question even more why I allowed myself to pick third, but I have struggled with Germany as an EG, but I was confident, obviously overconfident, that I could get whoever France was going to be on my side, because I think I've been a good ally throughout my year of playing, and people might think, hey, this is a guy that can help us both be stronger, and at the end, I can probably take it from him. So I thought if I could do everything about getting France on my side, but then do better at the end game, then maybe I'd have a shot.
So were you pitching not just in a, I struggle with press games sometimes because I'm not great at the, and particularly in the finals, at the timing of communications. The more early in the process allows whatever I say to get out. Then it all just like, it's a disaster. And so what I'm sitting here wondering is, were you pitching this England stuff in plenty of time for France to try and make, a deal with England, or were you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was 100% going, hey man, I'm FG. Let's do this. Let's do this thing. And then to Riaz, I was like, hey, let's just take it slow, see what happens.
Yeah, you should have been all, let's do the EG.
And I don't know if I might be exaggerated a little bit, but in my mind, I was 100% like, if I can get France on my side, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, you're right. I remember Dan Fogel, he talked to me a lot when I was kind of trying to learn the game, and he said, don't play paranoid. And I'm still wondering, like, how it seems like everything you say could come back to you. So that was definitely a challenge. He might have used that against me.
So I mean, I think these are obviously very standard moves. It had to be sort of crushing to get bounced out of Holland in fall 1901. And what arrangement did you make with Belgium? Did you think Philip would not take 3 builds or not want 3 and support you in, or what was
no. As soon as Philip supported de Burgundy, which was not something we agreed on. Like I said, as soon as that happened, I knew that I was like, oh, this is not an FG. And in my mind, it was a very strong EF. So this move was 100%. Here's the deal. Throughout this, if we get through the whole game, I'll tell you that I believe I played a pretty good game and made 2 horrible moves. This was not one of them. This was one I would take back if I could do it over again. But in my mind, I was going 100% against an EF right now. And my thought, this was naive now that I look back at it. My thought was maybe people on the East would actually, respect me understanding that, Philip can't get 3 builds. Philip can't be that strong. I got to do something about that. And then the risk, I know I could have taken Holland with support, but I actually wasn't thinking that this was what England and France was doing. I thought they would have given me Belgium, kept me from Holland, and then gone into Ruhr. For whatever reason, right or wrong, stupid, whatever, I thought that Burgundy army was going to Ruhr. And I know that I would have gotten 2 builds out of that, but I also would have just got sliced up because I just felt like I had 0 friends at that point. So
I've been in this position, exact same position. And what gets disheartening is when the only real option for you is to enlist Italian or Russian help. Like, that's it. And Ewok's only going to give you so much. And we saw that here in this game too.
So yeah, that'll be an issue later. But one of the other things too that was going on for me is Riaz was really pushing hard for me not to give Ewok Sweden, and it actually, he'll probably say this too, but I mean, it led to some contention early in the game between us that was hard to get over. Although I think we did. We got over it eventually, at least personally. It's struggle. It made it a struggle throughout the game. But I just felt like, yeah, you're pushing so hard for me to bounce Russia out of Sweden. It's because there's an EF and you want me to have 3 enemies. And then Pez came in with, hey, what are you doing with Sweden? Maybe he kind of did a little, you got to bounce him. That's probably good. Now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have 0 friends. I have absolutely 0 friends. I better have Russia as a friend. So that was the thought there.
Did you hear Pez's interview? Maybe not, where Pez said you would not communicate with him.
Yeah, I did hear it. I did hear it, and I disagree. He wasn't the person I was communicating most with early, but I don't. Yeah, I would not have. I don't agree with that. I do think that I was a little bit worried about him being able to try to mind control me too much. So I tried to stay. I tried to have kind of a little bit of a barrier of giving too much information. That's one of my weaknesses. I just give too much info. But yeah, a lot of his stuff was, great player, but I felt like, kind of pushing me to bounce Russia and Sweden, which then it didn't feel great. Didn't feel great to me. So I felt like, well, I guess I'm just on defense.
I didn't like this Fleet Berlin because it's out of position. I would have preferred an army, but on the other end, I think France should have built a fleet in Marseille. So
this is where Philip beat me on this one. Like I said, that last move was 100% anti, just EF, just see what I can do. I did think, like, honest to God, I thought that based on the conversations I had with Philip, after that, before the builds, with Russia a little bit involved, I really thought Philip was building Fleet Brest, Fleet Marseille, and we were going to FGR. We were doing it. Philip put the proposal out there on I'm building 2 fleets, and I actually went to go look that up today. I wanted to make sure. I actually went on Discord, scrolled all the way back, and I was like, yeah, he just flat out put that, which good for him. Like, I'm no hard feelings. Good for him.
He sold you that used car.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I was like, all right, good. We got it. We got an FGR. We're going to do this. Let's go. Fleet Berlin, 2 armies. And I'm like, well, okay. So there we go.
Yeah. Okay. So, so then your hand is a little forced. You got to cover Munich. You got the bounce in Holland. And at this point, at least for a season, another year or so, it's just you defending against the EF.
Yep.
And, we can quibble with move here or other, but it's another army built from France. And they're just advancing their position on you until I think what gets to the more interesting move.
Yeah. So this was, wait, actually, let's go.
You're giving Holland to England. You're going to the Baltic, and then you're going to make a move on Sweden in the fall.
Yep.
What does Ewok, is Riaz selling you something here? You're trying to get a friend. What's going on?
Okay, so there was an earlier move. Don't go back to it, but just for context, there was an earlier move where I was being sold to do something pretty similar to what ended up happening. But it was just, I was going to leave myself so wide open that I just felt like I was getting bamboozled. So even though I kind of agreed to it, it didn't happen. I think it actually had to do with England and Italy trying to talk England and Austria trying to talk Germany and Italy to, do some things that might be a 4-way alliance, but I just didn't feel good to me. I don't think it felt great to Max either. If he remembers that, he can talk about it. Whatever happened there, I didn't do it. But then it got to the point, and I remember in the interviews before the game, I said, I want to try to play patient. I want to be patient. So this is why this year was a bummer for me, because I don't know how to explain it. It's only 1903, but it just felt like I was banging my head against a brick wall, getting nothing, getting nowhere, going nowhere, and no prospect.
No, I agree. It looks like it too.
So then it's like, okay, screw it. Like, well, let's try something else. And so, I knew Ria. Yeah, there were mistakes made. Like I said, this was a mistake. But here's the deal. I believed that if I just stayed with the status quo and just kept banging my head against EF, maybe stopping Philip from getting to Belgium earlier, maybe stopping Holland here, fine, okay, but I'm still gonna die. Still gonna die pretty soon. So the next one is obviously the worst move. So this one is where, did I know that Riaz could potentially take Denmark and Kiel? Did I know? I did not think there was any possibility that Pez would support Philip into Munich, but the other two, and this is where it's embarrassing to say, but I actually felt fine about this move when it was leading up to it, because I was done. Like, I was just freaking done. And I've heard some of the great players talk about how they never give up and they always find a way. And I'm like, I am not that player right now. I'm so frustrated. I'm so beaten down. I mean, in the game, so I'm just like, and so here's what happened in my mind. I'll go ahead and give it to you. We actually had a pause here. Before the pause, I was really frustrated with what was going on. game wise. Again, Riaz and I was, I mean, it was hard. It was frustrating. We kind of had to come to, you know, a better moment. I took the pause to try to recenter myself and say, you know, I got to not play with so much tension. It's hard. I mean, it gets you, right? And so I came back and reverted back to the earlier me before the Nexus even thing, where
happy-go-lucky Dave.
Yeah, just gonna have a good time, gonna try, you know, and so of course I mean, so in my stupidity, yes, Riaz did know I was going from Denmark, and I didn't want to, but at first I was like, oh heck no, I'm not gonna go with Denmark. But then we started talking about how he would move, you know, to English or do some other things, and my thought was this. All right, either he's gonna take my dots, and it's gonna be over, like it was going to be anyway,
right?
Or he's not going to, and I'm going to actually end up with, you know, 5 or something right here, and I'm in this game. The other part, and if Riaz follows, and my thought was leading up to it is, this is probably wrong on the math, but I figured it was about 50-50. I figured it was like, you know what, he does kind of know of me, of being an alliance player. He probably knows that I'm somebody I could take advantage of later in the game, at the end game. So he might go ahead and do this thing that he said, even though he knows too much.
So he promised you Belgium. Then he would take Denmark. He promised you Sweden.
Yeah.
Owen would support Ruhr to Belgium. You go up 1. He goes up 2. EG's on board. That was his pitch.
Yeah, and there's one other thing about it, because you have to hold me 100% accountable for knowing exactly what the potential was here. I thought I was done. If I didn't, you know, if something good didn't happen soon, I need to learn a little bit more about that and be more patient, like I asked myself to be going in. I did actually feel frustrated about the lack of concern for what I thought were decent defensive moves against EF with no help. And so I think I even wrote it in some of the messages. I said, hey, yeah, that didn't work out. Looks stupid. The EF is now your problem, not mine. Have fun, East. Which I wouldn't do it again. But at the moment, man, did it feel justified.
Oh, you should see what I write. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, you know, you played one game with me. You get a little bit of flavor for it. So I would have definitely called everybody out. But on the other hand, they had their own problems here.
Oh no, they didn't need to do anything different. But it's where my head was at.
So you know, it's not looking good for a while here, and this really is the move, I think, that solidified, you know, the England stab on France, which was inevitable since you were basically dying. But the gratuitous move of Baltic to Berlin is what we theorized caused you to just be done with Riaz. Yeah. Not that there wasn't much for you to do, but you know.
No, yeah. So before we started negotiating this turn, I assumed I was done. There was nothing I could do to survive. So I was like, I'm out. I'm done. Riaz actually came and pitched this, and I figured actually once he started pitching it, I was kind of like, oh, I think I am going to survive, because he didn't need to pitch this. Like he didn't need to. Philip and him could have just got rid of me right now. So once he started doing this, I was like, oh, he might be, yeah, I might survive. He did, yeah. The thing to Berlin was it was kind of a bummer for me, just because
you didn't get a build.
I didn't get a build. It kept me out of really being able to control my own destiny after, you know all the things that go on. So that was a bummer. I know.
But did you know this was happening? Is my question.
Did I know he was going to Berlin?
Correct.
No. Did not. No, he was not going to Berlin.
Oh, you believed he was not, but everything else was going to be the same.
Yes.
And to deny you the build, and to not even build that build.
I mean, you can talk to him about that part. I'm guessing I know he feels bad about Berlin. I know he knows that wasn't the right play. But again, I just told you about a couple moves that I'm not happy about. This is what happens in this game.
Right. Like, yeah, correct.
But yes, as far as like, you know, we mended a lot of fences from the beginning. but just talking about the strategy of the game moving forward, that was a tough one. That one right there is a tough one. Yeah.
Had he let you build, would you be on the Riaz train against France, or would you have just sold yourself to France and gone against England?
So I do think that one of the things that I do okay is kind of understanding that, we're not supposed to let just somebody run away with the game in this, especially in a finals like this. So I tried to be, other than the one move where I was like, I'm done, tired of this. This is stupid. That I tried to be a balanced power player. So we would have had to see. I mean, Riaz was in good position after I let him stab me. Wasn't even a stab. I mean, he did, after I gave him my centers, he was in great position. I did work to figure out how to switch that up, but France was rolling with Riaz, and why wouldn't he be? That type of thing. So I couldn't get Philip to turn, and then this one happened, and so I felt like this was obviously a great situation for me because I was going to be eliminated. I went from going to be eliminated to Philip was going to be mad at Riaz. Riaz was going to be happy with me. The Berlin thing gave me 100% justification to do whatever the heck I wanted to after this.
So you did get it on board with, by the way, I mean, you don't get this in virtual face-to-face. There is a man out there dedicated to drawing art about your play.
This was my favorite part. This was my favorite part about this Nexus thing. Like just the fact that I actually tried to stay away from a lot of the outside stuff. It's not my thing. I don't do social media. I don't do any of that type of stuff. So I tried to just not let the outside world impact me. But I did try to keep track of these pictures. I wish there would have been more. There's plenty of things to make fun of me about, so that would have been great. I liked the first picture. I thought that was better than I've looked in years. So yeah, I love the Lady Razor stuff.
Okay, so here, I mean, the game sort of becomes a little, at some level boring for you, but I mean, you're getting into Kiel. I don't really understand the English play, the war on three fronts. Tell me what you think Riaz was trying to do.
So I want to just say that I respect Riaz as a great player, and I agree. I think that
he's a great player.
I think that he'll admit this when if he's I don't know if he's had his interview or whatever, but
yeah,
I lied to Riaz for like 5 moves in a row, and I did well. I used every piece of teaching literature, that type of thing, and I didn't feel bad about it one time because of. The kind of the beginning. I was just that was my goal. I needed to have some motivation, and I went for it. There was a point where I kind of started to feel like, okay, that's enough. But I went hard at it. So yeah, I think I actually do give myself some credit for slowing Riaz down by kind of keeping on him believing that I was going to maybe do something different. In his favor, and I felt like he got me, one time really good on that, and then another time, so that was fine. All was fair and that type of stuff. Although I know that we were both frustrated with each other throughout.
So I mean, it's not the most exciting game for you here, but you did get your home center back. You did get Berlin. That was awesome in 06.
Yeah. So can you go? Okay, so this was actually my favorite move of the game. Well, this whole year was my favorite year. I had an opportunity to piff either Belgium or Holland, depending on what England and France was going to do. Again, like I said, I kind of chose to go with France here and get the English army blown up. And then the next one was my very favorite move of the whole game because Riaz could have done a Denmark support Berlin to Kiel here, right, and he would have taken it. And with that, I would have been able to retreat to Holland, and I knew it. I knew that this was my best year, or this was my best move. I knew Philip wasn't going to Holland because I was on his side. Riaz believed that I was on his side, and then Ewok let me just say, support me to Berlin this way. And my feeling was I'm giving away the secret of of what was going on here. But if Riaz had gone Denmark, support Berlin to Kiel, I would have retreated to Holland. And, you know, they might have still been, maybe they were both mad at me. Maybe I could have still used both, but either way, I felt like this was my best move and set it up to do it. And then, you know, after that, like I didn't win, so who cares? But this was my crowning achievement. I probably could have just ended it here.
Well, you got the 3 home centers back, and you were in the game. You won the last longer than Pezbet, and you were in it. I think I would have liked to have seen an 08 here. The move that we eventually did in 09.
So there's a few things there. One is like in 08, in spring of 08, I did not know Philip was going to Gascony. So I mean the same exact move that was open to me, you know, I didn't know it was open to me. Philip still would have had a fleet and you know, be able to cover Mar. So I don't really know that there was a path to go against France here. The other thing too is on this very move right here, what we had set up was for me to take Holland voluntarily. Philip was going to voluntarily give me Holland, and I was going to build Fleet Kiel, and then I was going to help Philip win this thing. So
now I see the idea.
So this was, you know, it's interesting you say, like, there were parts of this game that were, even though I didn't have much of a chance, that were a lot of fun with getting in the diplomacy of it and just kind of do this. So I don't have any hard feelings towards anyone here, but this was one where I was like, hey, I think this is the move. I think we can do this. And although throughout the game, I was telling Philip, man, I can't let you win. You ruined my game. You came at me, you know, like that type of stuff. But I did actually say at this point, and I mean, who cares that I said it? You know, like who knows? He doesn't know it's true. But in my mind, I definitely was like, yep, if he does it, if he sacrifices a center to drop to 6, takes that risk, gets me that Fleet and Kiel, I will do everything in my power to make sure he wins this game. Now, but let's be clear, that was what was in my head at that point. I mean, if I got that fleet and then I got Denmark, I mean, it's not like I wouldn't have tried to win.
Right,
you know? Yeah. So, but in my mind, that's what I was doing. I have no, I mean, of course he could be concerned about it. He did. We agreed to it. He got cold feet. I totally understand why he did, but I also used it as a reason to be like, all right, I guess I'll do what I want to then.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, by the way, this is an eternal debate between Humble and myself, right? Which is my point is it's not a lie if you intended what you meant when you said it. You know,
Philip and I actually had that conversation. I changed my mind about a lot of things throughout this game, and I assume everybody did too. So it's all good. I mean, this is what Jackson and I talk about when we talk about games. It's not our job to make other people's games go well. So whatever reason, lie, honesty, our own interests.
Well, whether it was a lie or the truth, or you believed it, it certainly was a pretext for you to be able to do this.
Right. So on this one, I actually did listen last night. I was driving home from on a bus, driving home from Portland last night. And I listened to the Humble interview, and he said he didn't like this move because he didn't think I had a chance to win. And I fully disagree with that. 100% believe I had a chance to win right here. On this move, I believe that by the end of 1909, that the East was going to be 665, and I was going to make a run for it right now. I was going to make a run to get to 7. So I fully believed I had a chance to win. I like Philip. By now, I like Riyadh. I liked everybody on the board by now, but I like me most, so I went for it.
You're on Team Dave first.
Yeah. So next move, my theory was that, and actually this was my theory here, is for one, I tried to kind of throw some, hey, 665 East, like not to Ewok, of course he wants to sit 7, but to the others, like, hey, 665, wouldn't that be a great way to go into the last year, right? So I just assumed that would happen. Great job on Ewok on his defense or whatever, however he was able to make that to stay at to 7. But so my move actually,
he got Italian support into Serbia, which I don't think I would have expected. If I were you, I wouldn't have seen that coming.
Yeah, I didn't get into the details of any of their negotiations. I just was encouraging. I just was a cheerleader for 665. And I'm not like one message to East, like, oh, wouldn't that be cool? In the West though, I made a move where I was either I knew that I could have gotten 0 on this move, but my goal was 2. I was not going to go from I was not going to hit Belgium and take Holland and gain 1 and have no chance to win. So it was either 5 or possibly nothing for me. But didn't really do any negotiations for it or anything like that. Just put the best move that I could out there, and I got it. And when I got it, I was like, yes. And then I looked at the East and I was like, no. So that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. And then you get the retreat to Silesia, which is like as if you didn't have enough problems.
No, that one was actually okay. There was this. Okay. So I don't know how much. So go to the last year. This is what happened. So this was my second bad move of the game. So this one, there's so much went into this, but you know how you've said it before, it's the hope that kills you, right? For a long time, I had no hope, 0 hope. I was playing out the game. I was having some good times with discussions. Philip and I think we had great times. Probably not a huge fan of me as much right now, but we had some good times negotiating. Riaz and I kind of, we got, I like him. I like our conversations there. Like all the East, I like everybody. I worked really hard to put something together where at first there was potentially going to be a Riaz convoy into Belgium, but I didn't really want Riaz to convoy to get Belgium. But I also didn't want to lie to him the year before the last, move. So that didn't come together. Tange, I was actually okay with in Silesia because there was a moment early on where I was like, okay, I'm going to get Spain and Warsaw and get to 7 and somehow, and that'll get you out to 6. And I would have, of course, Philip's going to keep the 2 armies because I just, he's mad at me, but I didn't think, of course, initially. I made a push for, hey, you could still get this, you could still get that. This is the way the game's played. But we went 2 armies. I still had a move, an ideal move for me. And I'm just so disappointed with myself because it all fell apart. I thought, I'll just tell you, Kiel supports Holland. Holland supports Munich to Ruhr. Ruhr gets popped. Tange comes into Munich. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. Tange comes into Munich, hits Burgundy the next move while I take Belgium, and I end up with 7. So here's what happened, though. It wasn't coming together. Like initially, I was like, okay, Warsaw. Hey, Max, go to Bohemia. I go to Warsaw. I go after Warsaw. You go after Vienna. One of Ewok can't win. He has to make the decision between us. But I've sandboxed all that out, and it's like, oh, I can't keep Munich or Riaz will get something. So then I'm like, okay, that's not gonna work. Screw it. Maybe I head west. Okay, and then I start looking at this because Riaz was, I think, willing to take Belgium. Obviously, would have taken Belgium if I gave it to him. But I just couldn't pull the trigger on that one. So by then, this was the move that I actually virtual face-to-face 15-minute in it, where it was coming down to the last minute, and I still didn't have my full move in, and I just kicked it. I just screwed it up. I screwed it up. I didn't have the best order in. By the time Tange says, hey, I'll support Munich. No, I think I'm going to Ruhr. It's like, you can go there anyway. There's a plan. But the plan was half baked. It was just it was a freaking mess. And I'm okay with it because in the end, even if I make this move perfectly, Riaz would have no reason to tap Philip for me to make sure I get Belgium. It was fine, right? I screwed it up. I wasn't going to win. But it was a kind of a dang. I will also admit that after all of that happened and I felt like it's not going to happen, there is an exhaustion and apathy that sets into the last move when it's not going to be you.
Yeah, I was in it on my last move in season 2, and so it was a bit of a letdown when everything didn't come together. But you did have a say in who won in 2 ways. I interviewed Tanjian, who had nothing but compliments for you, by the way. And he said you told him he could do whatever he wanted here with Munich, but he didn't want to take you down to center out of a sort of respect for you. I told Tanj I think I would have tapped Berlin, not against you, but as revenge on Ewok. But you did deny Max the win. Like you could have just held in Spain.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
This is a tough one. So going back to that last move, there was also is there a way to lose like 5 centers in one turn? Can I just do that and be out of it? I don't want to make this decision. So, I mean, you don't have to look at it, but like in my mind, like when it wasn't coming together where I thought I could actually make a run, a lot of bad stuff happened. I already explained that. So on this one, basically what went down is I told Tanj, I said, I'm going to do my take Munich. That was actually, I didn't want Burgundy or Tyrolia to support one of each other to Munich. I didn't want to give up my center to Tanj, but there was a point where I had a strategy the year before, but then it didn't work out, and then he was there, and then it's fine. So the bottom line is this. I sent a message to Riaz, Philip, and Max the night before that basically said I'm out of it. I'm out. So I understand the status quo is that Ewok wins if nothing changes hands. I will not be doing the thing that forces that. So Tanj had the freedom to hit Berlin if he wanted to. He had the freedom to hit Burgundy if he wanted to make sure that Philip couldn't support Max in. Riaz and Max would have had to do a lot for Philip to get to 8. So Philip would have had to support Riaz in, like that type of stuff. So I basically just said, it's on you guys. If you can work together and choose and crown a different winner other than Ewok, go ahead. But this is what I'm doing.
You put it in their hands. You put it in Burgundy and Burgundy's hands. They knew that they would have to get there through someone else.
They knew that ahead of time. I wasn't secretive. Max knew I was going to Marseille. I like Max a lot. I had a good time with the conversations with Max. If Max was ahead or tied with Ewok going in for the last move, I wouldn't have stopped him from winning. If Max and I probably have to have a post-game chat to kind of figure out why. Because there was a point when I didn't think I was going to win where I was team Max, but there were a few things leading up where I was like, Ewok played a good game too. I don't think I'm going to actively do something that keeps him from winning.
All right, Dave. I unfortunately have a hard stop, but because you gave us so much good information. Is there anything else you want to say? Any shot you want to make, particularly at Audacious Hand or Superstition or me? Say what you want to say. Get it off your chest about where we screwed up.
No. The thing that's interesting is when you're playing in the game and you're in all the negotiations, to then kind of see how people who are not in the negotiations see things, and oftentimes they're 100% wrong. That's fine, but they're 100% wrong. But there were a few times, I think, there were a few times that kind of that people understood my frustration with what was going on with the EF. And so maybe I would do this or that. So I think you guys do a good job, but everybody needs to understand when you're not in negotiations, you're playing a totally different game. Yeah. So anyway, I think you guys do a great job. It was a lot of fun. I have mad respect for all of the other players. It was fun, frustrating, exhausting. I'm glad it's over. And I'll be taking a break now for a while.
We'll see you in season 7. Thanks so much, Dave. I appreciate it. You have a good day.
You too.